Senator Winder.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been a very interesting morning and now starting into the afternoon. And I would just echo the words that our majority leader had earlier. I'm proud of all of you. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud for the debate that's going on the floor. I also want to recognize the sincere effort of the gentleman on the second floor and that he feels this is the best alternative for the state of Idaho. And I think it is a sincere opinion. I just happen to disagree with it. I recognize that there may be a majority on this floor that will support this bill for the logic of the bill, for the reasons you've heard here. But I also feel like we're not done with this because of what's going on across the rotunda. We'll be back here talking about this again in the future. But let me give you a few points of why I think we're in a very difficult situation. I feel like we have a gun to our head. If you don't do something, we're going to do something to you, and it may even be worse. If it were about the exchange and the simple exchange and the ability of people to get good insurance quotes and to expand the ability for people to acquire insurance and to take care of some of the things that the good senator from 16 mentioned, I think we could probably all find a way to see that path forward. But this isn't about just an exchange or access to the market. This is about a whole lot of other stuff. 2,100 pages. Over 30,000 pages of rules, some of which are not even written yet. One of the things that has bothered me the most about if we don't do a state exchange is that our carriers and our vendors in Idaho will eventually lose out in the marketplace. And that's a very valid concern. I think we need to protect our insurance brokers. I think we need to protect our carriers in this state. They've done a great job of keeping our premiums low over the years. But I'll just share with you something from my history. As most of you know, I've been in the commercial real estate brokerage business for a long time. And I used to do a lot of work for the GSA, the General Services Administration. And one day they decided that it wasn't very efficient to use a bunch of independent brokers from all over the country to do work for them. So they decided they were going to have a national contract. That was almost 10 years ago. We've not seen one piece of work since that time period. They're using threats against our businesses, that if you don't support a state exchange, you're going to potentially lose your right to be a vendor and to provide services. And there are many companies in this state that are impacted that provide medical supplies and support for health care throughout Idaho. I was a lifeguard many years when I was in college. A little bit when I was in the Navy. And one of the things that they taught us was when somebody's seriously in trouble and drowning in the water, you approach them in such a way that you control the situation, that you don't let them get a grip on you and take you down with them. I look at the federal government today and what I see and the fear I have with over $16 trillion in debt, that we're getting on a ship that's got so many big holes in it that we have worked so hard for the past 5 years to keep our state financially sound and prepared for the future, that if we get on that ship with them and all the unknowns of cost to us, obligations for the future, that we run the risk of our state going down and being part of that ship. I think one of the greatest fears probably a lot of us have sitting around this room is to think about the IRS having additional control over not just taxation. They're calling it taxation, but if you think about it, it's really health care now. Because if you don't comply, if you don't follow the rules, you're going to be subject to penalty, and who's going to come enforce it? The IRS. So is it going to turn our medical people into squealers? You know, are you going to have to, we as a state, as insurance department, are we going to have to submit to the federal government people that don't take insurance? I mean, there's so many unknowns in this that I agree with an earlier comment. We need a little bit of a pause. We need some work, I think, to try and figure out a way to move forward. I've told several of you that this has been a real struggle for me from the standpoint of trying to, in my own mind, differentiate between the logic of supporting a state exchange and my heart telling me that it isn't right if we basically bow down and do what the federal government tells us to do. My heart tells me that we're in for additional problems in the future. My head tells me there are good things about this, and that yes, the governors or the gentleman on the second floor decision to try and do a state exchange and the supporters on this floor are trying to do the right thing with the state exchange. But I have this overriding fear in my heart and in my head that this is going to cost us all more money. It's going to actually reduce money in the health care system because of the bureaucracy that's going to be built at both the state and the federal level to support this. And with that, Mr. President, I'll be voting no.
Further debate.
Mr. President.